The next episode of The Commercial Break starts now.
Oh, it's another episode of The Commercial Break.
Starts now.
I'm Bryan Green. This is Krissy Hoadley, and Happy
Holidays.
Best to you.
Best to you, Bryan.
Best to you
I had
out
to
there.
think about that for a second.
I know, I saw it. Best to you out there in the podcast universe. Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Commercial Break. We were just talking about edibles. Yeah, I don't want to, part of the reason why I don't smoke pot anymore, first of all, is I have children, and I can't spend half the day stoned walking around. You know, it's just like,
that makes
it's
sense.
not possible. But I actually stopped smoking pot a long time ago, and here's the reason why. It was getting increasingly frequent that I would just get paranoid and want to go to sleep. You know, and not like paranoid like the cops are going to come get me or some shit like that, but paranoid about all the responsibilities I should be doing rather than sitting here stoned watching yet another episode of some TLC show, right? And so it was like, I used to smoke a little bit of pot before I would go to bed. I'd take like 1 or 2 hits, and then I just fall right asleep, right? I loved it. It was me and marijuana, we had like an agreement. I won't go crazy, and you don't go crazy.
Right.
Yeah, I won't go crazy, and you don't make me crazy.
Yes.
And then the two of us will go hand in hand. But that was following a long abstinence of marijuana by like 10 years. I hadn't smoked it in 10 years, and then I started smoking it right before I went to sleep. But then I stopped because I was smoking, and then all I do is just sit in bed and lay at night and go, shit, I should have done that. No, shit, I shouldn't have done that. No, shit, I should do this, but I shouldn't have done that. And it was just driving me fucking crazy.
Oh, okay.
The one time, not the one time, but I've eaten edibles a number of times, but the last time I ate edibles, me and this girl, actually a girlfriend of my best friend.
Okay.
Now listen to this. A girlfriend of my best friend invited me to come over to her house, right? She was now the ex-girlfriend of my best friend. But I went over to the house because she was very attractive.
Right.
And I liked her very much. It was bad. But I mean, we're talking like decades ago.
Okay.
She invites me over to the house, and when I get there, she is rather inexperienced marijuana user, and I am a very experienced marijuana user at the time, but only the smoking kind, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've got like, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 ounce of some kind of shitty weed that we were smoking back then. And she says, well, I don't want to smoke it. I'm not into smoking anything. I don't want to put anything in my lungs. No smoke.
Okay.
And I said, okay, she's like, but I'm up for it. Can we cook them? Like, isn't that the way you could do it too? You can put them in brownies and stuff. And I said, I think so. But I don't have a recipe available to me. But it can't be that hard. Let's just throw it in a brownie mix, and then we're good.
Just the raw weed.
Just a raw weed.
Threw it in there.
Right in a brownie mix.
Just eating it.
Right? Which is, first of all, the big no-no. You're supposed to make butter with it or some shit, right?
Yes.
And second of all, like, you're supposed to like soak the oils up, and it's supposed to cook out and all this other shit.
They've got all these machines and stuff.
If you put raw weed in a brownie, you're basically asking for trouble because you have no idea how much THC is coming out in those brownies, and you're basically just ingesting marijuana and asking your stomach to do the rest of the work. There's no dosing or any shit like that. That's exactly what we did. When asked how much she should put in, I'm like, well, I can't imagine your stomach is going to like absorb that much THC. We're just putting raw weed in a brownie. So let's just put the whole thing in there. And that's, you know, and then we'll have a good brownie. And then we'll eat 2 or 3
the whole
of them.
bag of weed.
We put the whole bag of
quarter,
weed. Shredded it up.
or an
A
8?
quarter. A teener. We had a double teener. We had a Q. We put a Q in there.
Yeah.
Right? We put a Q. We like shredded it up as well as we could with a blender, I think. And then we threw it in there. And then we made Betty Crocker fucking chocolate brownie mix. And then when asked how much we should dose, I was like, well, again, I can't imagine it's going to be that strong, right? I mean, I could probably smoke this whole quarter in 2 days by myself because I was smoking a lot of weed at the time.
So let's eat them all.
Let's eat. There was like maybe 9 brownies, 3 and 3. And I said, why don't you eat 3 and I'll eat 3.
Okay.
The NCAA championship was on, I remember. I knew nothing about it at the time. I had no idea what was on the television, but I remember she wanted to watch it. And so we were watching the NCAA basketball championship, the March Madness, and within a half of an hour, both of us were on the floor, unable to speak in full sentences or move any of our limbs.
Fun.
We were literally glued to the floor, and she was asking in some kind of weird hieroglyphic language, if she should call the cops, the ambulance. And I kept saying, no, I think it'll wear off, right?
Yes.
I'm like,
That's like a movie.
yeah. She was talking to me and it was coming at me like, the song Pink Floyd, like you'll all be coming through in waves. That's how she was coming through. She's like, why Wally ambulance? And I was like, no, Wally. Remember that movie Wally?
Oh, I love that
Wally.
movie.
It
Yes.
sounded like that. I was like, Wally. We were so fucked up. For so many hours, it seemed like. And what it ended up being was more like 45 minutes. But, I mean, we were really twisted.
Forever.
Yeah, it felt forever. And the next day came, the sun rose, and we were still kind of not with it altogether. Mm-hmm. So we ate them at 9, the sun rose, and we were still twisted up. It was worse than any LSD trip I had ever been on. I was absolutely out of my funkin' gourd. I mean, I was just so twisted up. And so I decided right then and right there, eating marijuana is not for me.
So there's been a lot of advances since
1972, the last time that I ate marijuana. Okay.
Considering it's legal.
I get it.
States,
and now you can like exact dose it to, a certain degree. And
yeah, well, there's actually companies out there instead of you in a kitchen with Betty Crocker. There's actually companies that know how to make this.
Kids today are so spoiled. Mm-hmm. You had to test and measure back then, but now you just get, it's like it's all measured out for you. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah. They can tell you what kind of things are going to happen to you when you eat it. Like, you're going to be mellow and cool, or are you going to be like, is it like, running around with a chicken like your head cut off?
I've been to the weed stores in Colorado and California, and they they ask you, what would you like? It's like a bar.
I know. I've never been, but I've watched enough videos to know that it's all measured out and put in pretty little packages now. Like, videos. I've watched videos because I'm still terrified of the nightmare that was me stuck to a floor.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way,
I can understand how that would be, traumatizing.
I didn't.
You might want to retry it 25 years later.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm going to be a little bit careful about how I go about it because I don't want my body to go back into some kind of PTSD shock where I just line up, then my son's going to be walking all over me like,
No. Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah, I want to be careful. I am going to take precautions, as should you. Go to tcbpodcast.com to read more about Krissy and I. Find all the show notes, listen to all the audio, watch all the video, and you can find links to our social medias. That's youtube.com/thecommercialbreak and @thecommercialbreak on Instagram for content you cannot find anywhere else.